to full power.
And we are ready to officially start Fast-Paced Events, the only marathon's awful block with Beast Wars Transformers by Ailis. Let's go.
Too much energy.
Hello everyone, my name is Ailis, and this is Beast Wars Transformers. I'm glad it's finally getting the recognition it deserves as an awful game. Although, to be honest, with how much we skip in the speedrun, you're probably not going to see a lot of what makes this game awful. Right off the bat, there are two campaigns in this game. There's the Maximals and the Predacons. This is kind of a tying game to the kind of Transformers 90s reboot series where they kind of went for like a 3D animated style and the Transformers turn into animals instead of cars. So these are kind of like the Decepticons and these are the Autobots. So we're running the Predacon campaign. The Predacon campaign's a lot friendlier to run, and also up until recently there were no runs of the Maximal campaign. There is now. Shoutouts to Zando Toaster for being the first person to pick up that run, and to Rathin for finding a lot of glitches and skips in it. But for now, we're going to focus on the Predacon campaign. There's also a small amount of decision-making in terms of character choice. We're going to be playing as Inferno. Inferno is the only real viable character choice for this. There's another character called Scorpionox who is also viable for the same reasons as Inferno, but Inferno just has better health, better firepower, just all-round a better character, so we're going to be using him. So with that in mind, we're going to get started. So I will give the countdown now. We're going to go in 3, 2, 1, go. So right off the bat as well, I'm playing on a PS2 just for faster disk loads with the fast disk speed option. So transformation, immediately. You'll see the mechanic of this game. You can turn into like your beast form. Inferno turns into an ant. And when you're in beast form, you move faster and you don't drain that pink bar to the left, which is called Energon. But you can't shoot anything. Immediately, though, we're going to be jumping out of bounds. So what this game wants you to do is do a lot of running around, pressing switches, and opening gates and things like that. But instead, we're going to jump on top of the gate because it has collision on top of it. So we're now out of bounds right away. There's a lot of this that's going to happen in the run. So we've just skipped a lot of time. There's like a lot of running around, a lot of pressing things. And now we're going to do another skip, which is called a corner jump. So corner jumps are essentially like you get yourself into a corner, and usually you can just about sneak your way up onto the barrier like that. And we're out of bounds again. Clip through the bottom of that ceiling, and we're up on the stage barrier. So as you can see, already there's a lot of like skipping going on. The original route of this game was 43 minutes long, didn't have any real skips, and featured me screaming a lot. Because the game is brutal. There's loads of enemies, it has permadeath. You can just take loads of damage and die. There's bottomless pits. This is another corner jump, by the way. And then once we've done this, we're through the stage. This one's kind of tricky sometimes, but we should get there. There we go. Cool. Right. So yeah, the stuff that makes this game awful isn't going to be immediately apparent, but we are done with the first stage. So that stage takes just under like a minute and a half with these skips. Before I found the skips, that stage was just under 5 minutes. Also, we wouldn't normally do this in a run, but I am going to be doing safety saves because in order to like make sure I don't fall victim of permadeath, I need to make sure I have a backup. So this next stage is another one that is very much broken open. We do 2 corner jumps right at the start, and that's going to skip, you guessed it, a lot of running around to press a button. Again, very common theme with this game. You either kill enemies or press buttons to open doors. So we want to get ourselves up here. This one's slightly tricky. So we'll just try and climb our way up here. Please, come on. Come on, Inferno. Don't do this to me. You can see as well the enemies are having a great time just shooting at me. Please, Inferno? Come on. The physics in this game, you can probably see it, but they're kind of like... There we go, we're over. Right, amazing. They're kind of like when a spider gets stuck like in the bath and it can't climb out. That's basically the physics of this game. Every time you're on kind of a surface that looks like vaguely kind of slanted, you will just like slip down it like it's made of the slipperiest material you've ever seen. So this is another skip. This one saves a lot of time. The like geometry on that piece of like building that I just stood on is very, very thin. So it's very easy to fall off that. But now we're up on the stage boundary. When we're here, we can do another trick called an up warp. So certain slanted surfaces, if you jump into them with the right angle, you will just fly up them instead of falling down. So what we want to do is this, and perfect. So we have just up warped there. We've just walked around the outside of the stage, up warped into the boss area, and this is our first minor boss of the game, which is this big green robot. So this thing can kill you in one hit with a melee attack. So the reason why I'm strafing is so that he can't do that. He can never hit you with a melee if you're strafing, so it makes you perfectly safe. So that's the second level. Another piece of tech to talk about before the next stage is something called Quick Transform. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff to talk about. So at the start of each stage, you usually transforming unless it's a very specific stage. Now, with quick transforming, you can basically buffer your transform input in this loading screen. So just towards the end of the loading screen, if I hold triangle, I can start transforming. And it's relevant in this stage because this little cutscene here normally prevents you from having any inputs. So I can transform during the cutscene instead, which is nice. Also, this is the only skip that I found that's still in the game. This stage is very vertical, and it lets you just jump right the way down to the bottom and avoid damage by falling onto that wall. So this is Rhinox, by the way. So Rhinox is the first of the Transformer boss fights. So you fight all of the maximal characters that you can normally play as in the maximal campaign throughout the game. Rhinox is the most threatening, and he just died very quickly. So as you can see, these fights aren't going to be particularly dangerous throughout the run. Rhinox has the most health, and you can lose health while doing the skip in Heart of the City. So it's possible that he can kill you, but it's very unlikely. So got through him. Happy with that. Now we're on to Stasis Pod. So Stasis Pod probably has the hardest skip in the game, but it's one that I will reset the stage for repeatedly if I fail it, because the intended way of playing this stage is possibly even harder. Again, lots of enemies that can one-shot you. There's a bottomless pit section in the middle that can just completely end your run. And it's like a lot of time wasted if you fail any of those. So it's better to just keep going for this skip than it is to go for those backup strats. So that's the first part. That jump there, very, very annoying. But now we're on to what is probably the hardest but not impressive looking jump in the entire run. We have to try and do a corner jump up to this corner, and it's very, very finicky. So I'm going to hand over to the host if there's any messages to read out just while I'm trying to get this one. Oh, I got it. But carry on.
We do have a couple of donations to read out. We have a $20 donation from Chocolate Dave. Many props to you for running Beast Wars. I remember playing this casually, and yeah, good luck.
Thank you so much. Yeah, this game is an experience. Let's get one more in while I'm just jumping over the stage like this.
We have a $1.21 donation from Hood601 saying, nice, nice. And that put our total to $1,069.99.
Amazing.
Nice.
Thank you so much, Huds. So we're going to see a character unlock here. So both campaigns have a unlockable character that you pick up in this stage, but we're not going to use her, unfortunately. She's one of my favorite characters in Transformers. She's Black Arachnia. But the problem with Black Arachnia is she has terrible hit points, her jump animation's really bad, and she's just, not viable at all. She basically shares, stats with Tarantulas, and Tarantulas is also just not useful. So we're not going to be using her. Unfortunately, though, because I think she's really cool. Okay, we missed that guy. So this gate here is one of the few gates in the game where you need to kill enemies instead of pressing a button. So you just have to remember not to transform at the start of that stage. And we're going to try and do another skip immediately in here. Basically, we do a lot of this kind of jumping against the wall, kind of again, bathtub jumping, I'm going to call it now. That's the official name, I've decided. Sorry, Rathin, I've named your strats. And we can clear that wall. So that skips a lot of running around and pressing buttons again. And then in a minute, we're going to be climbing up onto the stage barrier with some clever platforming again, just to get to the boss area without having to press yet more buttons. So if you want to go for some more messages or anything, then now would be a good time just for a couple.
We have a few of our targets and polls that I just wanted to highlight right now. We have our Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania Dark Banana Mode incentive, which is $224.99 of its target. If you're not sure about what that entails, is they're going to play Super Monkey Ball, but if they hit a single banana, they die. And we got to see that, right?
That sounds amazing. So I'm at the boss now. Shoutouts to this boss killing me at GDQ. I was not very impressed. Normally, he just sits down there and tries to melee you. And melee, again, will kill you in one hit, but because we're up here, we're safe. But he can also shoot rockets, and he's very unlikely to do it, but he did 2 in a row at GDQ, and it just killed me. So that boss is not nice. Fighting that the intended way is horrible. If anyone even got to that point, because that stage is quite far in the game, and I'd be very surprised if most people got past the first 2 levels in this game, so this next stage has another quick transform, and it also has the most brutal enemy I think I've ever seen. So these big things here, they can one-shot you, and he's in a choke point, and I have to jump around him, and that was very close to me dying. So yeah, shout-outs to that guy, and this guy as well. I know that in other games they tend to give nicknames to enemies like this. Like in Sonic 1, there's Randy and Orton, for example. If anyone wants to think of a name for these two, then feel free. I'd love to hear it. But this is our second Transformer boss fight. So this is going to be Dinobot. The stage is literally called Kill Dinobot. Not particularly imaginative, but we'll let it slide. You know, it says what it does. You know. So Dinobot's down again. Like I mentioned, that Rhinox has the most health. The rest of the Maximals will die very, very quickly. So we're going to see lots of that. Also, you'll notice that we've had kind of two kind of different environments of stages so far. So the game's split into 4. It's split into urban, volcanic, polluted, that's the one, and desert. Normally, the game gives you access to desert and urban at the start. And we started with urban. But we're actually going to complete desert later, just because we have to come back and finish desert to unlock the final stage of volcanic. So completing either desert or urban unlocks polluted. Completing polluted unlocks volcanic. And then you have to complete all the stages to unlock volcanic 3. So we're going to go back and do the desert stages later. I would say it's because they're easier, but in reality, it's just how the menuing works out. You don't have to do any extra menuing to play the stages in this order. And the desert stages are actually like a very heavy reset point. Because of one stage in particular called Mining Machine that we'll see coming up later. It's very, very brutal. I'm kind of just doing some intended platforming now. I'm going to jump and press this button and then head back on these platforms. So if there's any messages like you want to read out, that would be a good time.
We have a couple of donations to talk about. We have $10 from Phospho Hydro saying shout outs to Zaikumi. I was practicing pronouncing both of those words multiple times while you were talking. We also have $10 from Silent Tremor. Why wasn't the computer hungry? It just had a bite.
I like the joke, and also shoutouts to Zaikumi. Thank you for that, Phospho. Shoutouts to the JSRF speedrunning community and also Zaikumi. That's a running gag, by the way, just in case anyone's very confused.
I am indeed.
If you want to join in, then just say shoutouts to Zaikumi right now, okay? Like,
shoutouts to Zaikumi.
Thank you so much. Right. So this skip's the easiest one. If you can get this far in a casual game, you too can do this skip because you just jump up that wall, and now we're kind of in the void. So conveniently, all of this terrain to our left you can upwarp from. So although I've just thrown myself into what seems like an inescapable position, what I can actually do is just walk around to the end of the stage and then upwarp back into the stage in order to get to the final boss for this particular level. This boss is a Skrix. So the Skrix are kind of like the weird aliens that I mentioned in the previous stages that can kill you in one hit. This is a fire one, but it's also much, much weaker. So it's going to die very quickly. It's kind of weird because they added the Skrix just for this game, and they're not in the TV show as far as I'm aware. The TV show is also set on Earth, so it's kind of like a bit weird where these Skrix have come from. I'm not sure what the point of them is, but they're like a difference in enemy anyway. It's cool to have some variety. Now coming to Final Confrontation. So Final Confrontation is probably got my favorite like weird thing in the game in it. So I don't know if that's a very like good sentence or explanation, but it'll make more sense in a minute. So first I want to jump around here. This skips fighting some enemies to break that wall over there. But then also we're just going to ignore this wall. So we're going to climb up over the top. And here we go. So there's a boulder that's meant to chase you like Indiana Jones style, and it kills you in one hit, and that's this boulder. Even though it's not chasing you, it still kills you in one hit, and you have to jump up here. So that boulder is my favorite thing about this run. Like the fact that it's there and it's still like lethal is very, very funny. Now we're going to upwarp into the void, and we're going to get to the next boss, which is Air Razor. So Air Razor is one of the 4 flying characters in the game. There's 2 on the Maximal side, 2 on the Predacon side. She is the one that the Maximals only get in what's called like a rescue mission, which is where if you lose a character to permadeath, you can get them back via the rescue missions, but that is very slow. It also makes her the most annoying character to fight because she moves around so much, and I can only mash really quickly if I'm strafing in one direction, because otherwise I need to use my mashing hand to press the strafe button. So also, I've not talked about it, but in between these stages, you'll notice that the Inferno model turns around when I select the character. What stage is this now? Oh yeah, it's yeah, we're in the desert stages now. Cool. So we have to do these, and then we'll be on to the final volcanic stage. So you'll notice that the character spins around when I select it. If you mash fast enough in the menu, you can actually select it before the character's moved at all, and then it will register it being at its ending position instead of having to do the full spin. So you save a tiny bit of time there. I've got a couple of them in the run so far, but I just haven't mentioned them. I jumped over a wall there. Lots of time save. I kind of feel like we're all used to jumping over walls by now, but that saved a lot of time, what I just did, trust me. And I'm just going to be running over these boulders up here now as well. So there's an upgrade in here called the red chip upgrade. And the red chip will basically let you shoot down these walls. But instead what I'm going to do is just jump at the corner and then get in a certain position, and then I can just climb over it. So there's only 2 times where it would be relevant to be able to skip those boulders in the run, and you can happen to skip both of them. The terrain around the outside is just so that you can skip it. So very conveniently, the only 2 that we'd need to worry about are skippable. Otherwise, we'd have to go find the red chip, and that would take a lot more time. This boss uses a different type of fighting that we haven't talked about yet. So this boss here has the weirdest hitbox that, for whatever reason, you can't hit very consistently by just mashing. So we're using the homing attack here. Every character has one of these. It's normally slower than just mashing, but because it allows you to center in on the boss's hitbox instead of having to rely on luck, basically, it's actually the most consistent way to kill that boss. So there we go. Desert 1 is done. Desert 2 is the stage that makes the game particularly inconsistent at this point. So even though these are meant to be the easier stages, this is one of the harder tricks in the game. This is Mining Machine. And in Mining Machine, there are 2 jumps that don't look very impressive, but they are, trust me, you're going to have to believe me on this. They are very, very difficult. And I will talk about them when we get there. We've got a little bit of walking until we get there, so if you've got any messages now, would be a good time for 1 or 2.
We have a $20 donation from WinDEU with no comment. And I just wanted to give a brief update on the rolled out character choice poll. Up until recently, Guava the Koala was winning with $35, but recently, and I can't quite see who tipped it across the mark, but Snowcone the Chicken has taken over. So I honestly, I'm not too familiar with these names with this game. I just wanted to read out those very funny character names.
Those are amazing names. So this is the first jump. Okay, we got it. Good. So that jump's a lot harder than it looks, and it doesn't save much time at all, but I went for it because it's cool. This is the second one. So normally you have to destroy some ships that will break these buildings for you, but instead what I'm going to try and do is line up a jump to go... Oh, we got it. Oh my god. Okay, cool. So that's one of the hardest things in the game, basically. That building to the right there, because you're not supposed to go around it, it has an invisible barrier that extends out of its hitbox. So you have to be really, really careful not to hit that, because that's an insta-death pit down there. You'll die instantly if you fall down and have to do the stage again, so would rather not do that. Anyway, this is the Mining Machine. I jumped over those boulders. That's the only other boulders we have to worry about. And all I have to do is jump up on top and put down a mine to blow up the Mining Machine. Turns out it's not the kind of mine the Mining Machine wanted to get. And while we're waiting for it to blow up, I can do cool little things with the bug. You can do a little bow. It's pretty cute. I think you can jump sideways as well, yeah. If you turn Transformer as well, you can do this lunge that is never used, but it looks kind of cool. So yeah, that was Mining Machine. That was the scariest stage in the run, and I'm super happy it went well because I died 3 times there in GDQ. So very glad that one's over and done with. I would say the run is home and dry now, but there's still 2 somewhat scary stages. This one isn't difficult as much as the game is just not functioning in a way very conducive to high-performance jumps. There's a lot of lag in this stage that will make a section of jumping very, very nerve-wracking, because if you jump incorrectly, they're not difficult jumps like I mentioned, but because of the lag, if you jump incorrectly, you will fall to your death, because again, it's an insta-death pit. This game loves those. And just a reminder as well, if you die on any of these in an actual run, and you're not doing safety saves, you will lose your run. Your run will be over. Because Inferno will be dead, and that will be an irrecoverable position. So we press this button, and the game is lagging a lot right now, and we have to jump onto these very thin platforms. Okay, cool. We're safe from this stage. Also, I got so quick that the head of that Sphinx didn't load in properly, because I'm going super fast. Obviously skipping some jumping over those platforms by jumping over that wall. And this is Cheetor's base. So Cheetor is the second to last Transformer we're going to fight. Cheetor has the lowest hit points out of the ones that we face. So all we have to do is a bit of mashing, and he's gone. Easy peasy. Also, I find it very strange that Cheetor is representing a big cat and is very small. Inferno is an ant, and he is massive in comparison. The size difference between the two just doesn't make any sense at all. So we're moving on to the last stage. The last stage is the Axion. Oh, that was a quick character select. That's what I was talking about earlier. That was slightly faster. So the Axion is the mothership where we're going to fight Optimus. So Optimus Primal, by the way, not Optimus Prime. They had to make him super cheesy. So we can jump over these barriers here, which skips fighting some enemies. And then this is kind of the second to last difficult skip. The last two difficult skips are both in this stage, which is frustrating that there's two. So we have to try and jump around this corner. And then do a quick turn. Perfect. Okay, so the lag there makes that very tricky. But basically, there's a button here that lets you turn quicker, which is the quick turn button, obviously. Yeah, then the name kind of gives it away. But quick turning essentially mitigates the fact that it's tank control, so you can turn around a bit faster, but you can use it in midair to swerve yourself around a corner just like that. And now we're into the final sub area of the game. This is where we're going to fight Optimus. So first of all, there's this skip, which is very tricky. I got it. Perfect. Wow, I got every single trick first try. This run has been really solid. Oh my word. So what it wants you to do is go through this teleporter to the right to deactivate this shield and then kill this turret thing. Instead, what we're going to do is wedge ourselves against the shield, look straight up, and then we can shoot the enemy straight through the shield instead. So once this is down, the shield will go and Optimus will spawn in. And then that's going to be the final fight of the game. So where is Optimus? Where are you? Optimus, hello? Oh, I am hitting him. Okay, cool. That's fine. So just got to mash him down. So time is going to be when the screen turns completely black after mission complete. So mission complete pops up, the screen will go completely black, and time. I also, before I say anything else, we have to watch this cutscene, because this cutscene is fantastic. If you've ever wanted to see a T-Rex blow up a gorilla and a rhinoceros, now is your opportunity. There we go. Fantastic cutscene. Also, if you believe me, the Maximal Campaign cutscene has an even funnier ending, but this one's what we're getting today. It's fantastic. Thank you so much for having me, everyone. Can I check what my time was on that run?
I believe 1947.3 on the stream.
That is an incredible time for a run where I was doing safety saves. But for reference, the world record is 18:55, so that was an incredibly good run. I am very happy with that. Just before I go as well, I do want to say, obviously I've said shout-outs already to the very, very small community for this game, to Xando Toaster, who picked up the Maximal Campaign recently, and to Rathan, who's basically routed like both categories at this point single-handedly. Absolute machine of a glitch hunter. So thank you to both of them for being part of this like very, very small but very welcoming community. And I also just want to say, you know, that this was a game that me and Kid both bonded over. Kid was always tuning into my streams. They were always like excited to talk about it. They even planned to pick up the game with the Maximal Campaign at one point themselves. So I'm just, you know, it's super important to me that I got to run this game at a marathon in their honor. So like, thank you so much for having me, and we miss you, Kid. We miss you so much.
Thank you for that run, and thank you for those kind words. That was an incredible run, and let's jump back into the intermission.